Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name's Abdul Karim. This is Jinn Stories. So, gather round, boys and girls. Gather round, ladies and gentlemen. Gather round for stories of the strange, the mysterious, the bizarre. These are stories meant to scare, meant to tantalize, and meant to show you the world of the paranormal jinn. These are Jinn Stories. Now today is a special day. It is Eid. Alhamdulillah, it's finally here. We've all fasted and fasting time's over. Ramadan's at an end. I'm sad, I love Ramadan, but Eid is here and I figured I'd give you guys a special episode of Jinn Stories. A sneak peek because the main Jinn story starts in July. But I'm going to give you guys of short stories that I've gathered from around the world. I have relatives in India, relatives in Africa, relatives in England. You know, I've got relatives in Canada. So I've got relatives all over. I know a lot of people and I've been gathering Jinn stories since I was a kid. I had a fascination for it as a child. You know, it was just like learning about a creature that's not like human but, you know, has thoughts of its own. It just intrigues me. So I've been gathering these stories for years and we're going to share them with you on each episode of Jinn Stories. Now this episode is a little bit different. It's the first one and I'm just going to give you a cluster of these stories. So we're going to begin with the first story. It takes place in Africa. It takes place in the 70s in Africa. And there's this girl. She's walking home. She's about 14, 15. And it's late at night. And all of her friends are already in, right? But she has gone to partying, she's gone to some place that normally a good teenager wouldn't be going to these places. But regardless, she's walking home. And as she's walking home, she feels like something move. And remember, this was Mombasa. So now, although it's a bustling city, it did have a lot of rural areas with trees and there was a lot of darkness and people would walk by moonlight. So she's walking home, she's taking a shortcut and she hears like the rustling in the trees and she's looking around, she's like, what is this? And she's like, okay, I'm just gonna hurry up. She starts walking a little bit faster. So she's walking faster now and she hears the rustling. But it's not coming from around her. It's not like somebody's walking beside her, but in the trees. No, it's coming from above. She looks up. And she wakes up in her house. She has no idea how she got there. She's like, what the hell? Her parents are standing over her. And she's thinking, what the hell's happened? How did I get here? And there's this imam finishing a prayer, you know, and everyone's looking at her. And they're like, are you okay? Are you? And she's like, what? And so they explained that when she returned home that day, she was possessed by a jinni. The jinni was in her, it was making her scream, it was making her shout at her parents, it was making her act weirdly. And one of the people said, oh, it's because you're a virgin that these things happens to you. You know, I'll tell you, brothers and sisters, it's got nothing to do with virginity. It's got to do with fear. See, children are naturally more afraid than adults. Why? Well, because they're smaller, the body mass is smaller, and they have less experience in the world. Which means if they was to fight off something, they would have less strength than an adult version of themselves. So obviously children are scared. It is a natural state. It's fine. We all get scared, but children are more prone to being scared. Why is it that the jinn want us to be scared? Because when we're scared, we're taking the fear away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yes, you heard me right. If we fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than anything else, we would not be scared when the jinn comes knocking. We would not be scared when they come to us and say, I'm here for you. And you're like scared out of your mind. No. If you have fear in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you have fear in your Rabbul Alameen, then you will not fear these stupid things. You will not fear the jinn. And if you do not fear, then you're not letting your guard down against them. Your guard is your faith. Your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your imam, in your Abdul Alameen. Your goodness and your faith is what protects you from these things. So I urge each and every one of you, do not fear the Jinneen, brothers and sisters. Now, we'll move on to the next story. The next story takes place in Mexico. It takes place in Mexico, and there is this farmer, and he owns like a large plot. He has several employees working for him. And early in the morning, there's a loud crack. But that didn't wake him up. No, what woke up was the screams. It wasn't the scream of a child or some human being in distress. No. It was a different kind of scream. It was a scream of something that had its own mind, but was in agony. So the farmer gets out of bed. His employees, who are early in the morning, these guys are crack of dawn there. They're already in the farm. They come running. They're like, what the hell's going on? And they enter the barn where the screams are coming from. And what they see scares them to their bone. You see this thing. It looked like a small human. Except from, it was maybe half a foot in length. Now human beings, even in the womb, are not fully developed, can walk at half a foot in length. This is something that is clearly not human. Its skin is white, pearlescent white. Humans do not have pearlescent white skin unless there's a birth defect. This thing had a large head for its size. It looked around and it screamed. It was like, ha! And people were scared looking at this thing. Obviously, these people didn't have a concept of believing in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They didn't have faith in that Rabbul Alameen. So they were scared looking at this thing. And it had got trapped. It had got trapped in one leg and one hand. In fact, one hand had been snapped off. So it's a wrist that was still trapped. These people were scared of this thing. This screaming demonic thing. So they grabbed a pair of large tongs. These are tongs that they used to move charcoal in a fire. So they grabbed the creature and they released the trap. And the farm owner, he says, kill this thing. I do not want to see it. I do not want to look at it. So they go to kill it. They go to bury it. It doesn't die. It's still screaming. They go to drown it in water. It still screams. They eventually take the tanning liquid that they used to tan the hide of cows. Cows, can you imagine? This is caustic. It is meant to burn the skin. This is something you would not wish upon any living thing, is to touch that stuff, to touch that evil, vile chemical. And they put this jinn into that chemical. It screamed for minutes. A person wouldn't survive more than a minute, but this screamed for minutes and minutes as it burned in this acid. And eventually it was gone. It was dead, it was dissolved, it was gone. Astaghfirullah. Brothers and sisters, although these jinn are scary, they might come for us, they might make us scared, they're still a living creature. Treat them like you would another human being. If you find one, do not kill it out of the blue. What gives you the right? It's just like finding a person. You don't just kill people out of the blue. I'm urging you, brothers and sisters, do not just murder the jinn for no reason. If you have a good reason, if they're attacking you, or if they're trying to get to family members, that is a good reason in self-defense. But to just kill one because they happen to be there and they scare you, no, brothers and sisters, let the jinn go. Take it outside. Say, I'm sorry for what has happened to you. Please do not return home. This is a house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a house of believers, of Muslimin. And release it. So, this jinn, it was dead. It was dead and buried in the ground. Its remains were burned. Its remains were turned into acidic bile. And so it was buried in the ground. And people were starting to forget. And you see the man, the farm owner who ordered the execution of this thing, he went into his car a week later, and his car set on fire. He died burning and screaming, just like the way he died with the jinn. Now, why am I telling you this? Well, firstly, jinn do not have the ability generally to kill people, but a gathering of jinn, 3 or more, can take on a human, and quite a few can kill a human. But we, remember, are more powerful than a jinn. We are stronger, just because, think of it like this: a fire. A fire is burning. You throw a little bit of water onto it, it goes out. You put a little bit of dirt onto it, it goes out. And humans, we're made of clay. What is clay? Clay is a mixture of water and earth. So you put that onto flames, it goes out straight away. It takes a lot of fire to overcome clay. In the same way, a lot of jinneen can overcome humans, but remember, they are more scared of us than we are of them. Remember that these things that terrify us, are weaker than us. So obviously, they're going to be scared to try and take us on. But imagine that this person had killed your child for no reason other than he was scared. You'd be upset. So possibly, we don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. But it's possible. They were scared of this jinn. They accidentally killed it, not knowing what it was. They didn't know that this was a sentient creature. A creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we're all beings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're here on the dunya by His will and His mercy alone. So I urge each and every one of you, if you find something like this, treat it with kindness. Treat it with empathy like you would another human being. Let it go. And you know what, if it scares you, say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. It means I seek refuge in Allah from the shayateen, the rejected. So, you know, knowing the meaning gives it strength. And I urge each and every one of you, do not live in fear of these things. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who made these things. Who would you fear, the thing or the one who made the thing? Obviously, the one who made the thing is more powerful than the thing itself. So, the jinn are a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but do not fear them. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I urge each and every one of you, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come to goodness, and remember, do not fear the jinn. So come to goodness.